These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
We are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Sunday, July 16th. It's 1 a.m. It is technically Sunday, but it feels still like Saturday because neither of us have slept. We've had long days. I had my brother's graduation party. Sam was out doing his own set of events.
Family event.
A lot of stuff going on. We're very tired, but we're committed to the podcast because we're almost at 1,000 subscribers.
We already did a podcast today.
We did.
You get two.
We did.
Two.
You guys get more. This is coming out 5 a.m. Sunday when you guys are hearing this, obviously. But yeah, let's start off with the Summer League game that unfortunately neither Sam or I got the chance to watch in depth. I looked at the box score. I saw a few highlights, etc. I don't know why I said ETC instead of etc. I'm like delirious right now, but let's take a look at the box score. I have some general thoughts based on what I saw on Twitter. And then there was a YouTube comment that I want to go over to because I just thought it was interesting and it was super long and in depth.
I saw this.
But going over quickly, we don't have to go in depth on all these guys. Just we can use this as a Summer League review too, because Summer League is over. So let's take a look at these guys. But against who they played, the Magic, they won 94-77. Jordan Walsh, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 4 of 8, 2 of 3. Justin Bean, 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 of 8, 2 of 3. Almost the same stat line. Balcherowski only played 10 minutes, got 2 points. Jay Scrubb only played 10 minutes, got 2 points. He got signed to a two-way. We'll talk about that briefly after we do Summer League stuff, and we did a whole video on it, so go check out it on the channel. JD Davison, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 7 1 2, only 17 minutes. Kamar Baldwin, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Actually a solid game from him, 4 10 2 6. Not the best splits. And then the bench guys who haven't played a lot this summer got some minutes as well. Reggie Kissenlaw, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Solid defensive game from him. Made 2 of his 5 threes. Michael Mulder, 1 of 7, 0 of 6. Probably not going to be seeing too much more of Michael Mulder in the future. Vincent Valerio Bodon, who Sam was super high on and I was as well. 13 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. 4 of 8, 2 of 4.
Finally
Sam
played
Grissel. He didn't. We didn't see it. Sam Grissel, 8-3-2-2. Azubuike, 9 points, 5 rebounds. So, obviously, the two guys that stick out are Reggie Kissenlaw and Vincent Valerio Bodon because they hadn't played yet, and they both played against the Magic, and they both played pretty well. I mean, Reggie Kissenlaw, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Vincent Valerio Bodon, I think this is that 6 fouls or turnovers? 6 turnovers. So
yeah,
not great in that department, but he was efficient, which is something we saw in his Hungarian stats as well.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
And he wasn't playing against middle school kids today, so that's a big step for him. He actually got in the game.
This is
we
true.
Didn't get to see it.
Of course not.
As you were about to get into, solid showing off the bench, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 4 of 8, 2 of 4. Yeah, good for him. Glad he got to play.
Mm-hmm.
This was like a weird, almost April-esque version of a Summer League game where it's just
they missed the playoffs. So
like, yeah, the starters just kind of sit and they just roll out the bench. 10 minutes for 3 of the starters. Then the bench just gets to run out there. So there are no more games, even though they do have a weird tournament with the Summer League. Did they not qualify?
They did not. They were 2-2, and only teams 3-1 or better had a chance at qualifying, and then it was based on point differential. And so the Celtics, this was their 5th and final game, not part of that Sunday finals, whatever. I believe, oh gosh, I can't remember who's playing in the finals. I know that's the Nets. I think the Jazz. I think the Rockets are in it too, and then one other team, but I can't remember. Let me take a look. Summer League playoffs. But the finals are tomorrow. Cavs are the 1 seed, and they will play the Nets. The Rockets, the Jazz, and the Cavs, I believe, all went undefeated. And then I don't know which other team. The Nets, I think, went 3-1, and they snuck in based on their point differential as well, I believe. But I mean, the Celtics finished up their season 3-2, I think, in Summer League overall. No, 2-3. 2-3, not great.
Pretty shit.
Yeah, not great. But I did want to go over this comment because, like I said, Sam and I didn't get a chance to watch the game, but RJ Johnson in our comment section, who is also Celtics West in the Celtics blog comments / threads, decided to come on over to How About Them Celtics and leave a comment. We appreciate you very much. We appreciate all the commenters. And shout out RJ. I'm going to put it on the screen, so if you're watching on YouTube, check it out. But I will summarize for the audio platforms. He wrote an essay for us. And again, I greatly appreciate the comment. Obviously, I'm not going to read it all here, but he did go over who he believes the Celtics should bring in for X roles heading into next year. Obviously, he said nobody from this team should crack the starting five. Very high on Justin Bieber.
That is a prediction. No summer league guys in the starting five. We're going to hold you to that.
But he does say Justin Bean should be one of the first five off the bench for the Celtics next year. I don't know if I'd go that far. That being said, I am very high on Justin Bean. You know I am very high on Justin Bean.
No secret.
I obviously didn't get the chance to watch him against the Magic, but as Mr. Johnson, RJ here, says, his physical maturity and ability to move without the ball, look for extra passes, sneaky defense, like he just does all the little things on the court, which I enjoy. Goes on to say, Bus One boys, Walsh, Banton, Kissenlaw, Valerio Bodon, Champagny. Don't know if Valerio Bodon will make it over. Don't know if Kissenlaw will make the team. I would qualify Walsh as a bit more than a Bus One boy at this point, but he is a second round rookie, so I understand.
As they define his name on Google for you.
Yes. Wait, what? What do you define his name?
Look it. Yeah.
Oh.
It comes up and it.
Oh, this is
it tells you
Grammarly.
his
my Grammarly pops up on the screen. Yes.
Yeah.
Goes into his analyzation again. We're not going to read it all. Two-way Davidson Scrubb, and then he thinks Balczarowski should get a two-way. Now, I hate to spoil the idea. Balczarowski cannot sign a two-way. I read this on Twitter. Balczarowski is under contract with Gran Canaria in Spain through the 23-24 season. And even if the Celtics bought him out, it would have to be to bring him on for a standard deal. He would not.
Jack, we are fans of the NBA. You have to understand that contracts don't really mean anything.
I know. I'm just saying he quite literally cannot sign a two-way this upcoming season based on the CBA. And I don't think they're going to give him a standard contract. So he will almost certainly be back in Spain playing, unfortunately. And then he says Kamar Baldwin, main men, and then Sia to Azubuike and Michael Mulder. I just love that he labeled it Sia.
Yeah, no, you messed up. You should have said get ready to learn Chinese. That is the way. Azubuike, a surprise, 2 weeks ago or whatever. Surprise Sia, yeah. Going into this, he was probably one of the guys we were highest on. Most excited to watch, and for the most part, he was underwhelming. Just to chime into my man's point here, it's true. Didn't do a whole lot. He had either games where he looked lost and slow, or games where he didn't miss a field goal. Today, and the other game he played well in. Nothing special. We got a taste of why he wasn't getting regular run in the NBA.
He didn't look good. He looked slow. I don't blame you for being Sia. I know Landon had another comment saying A, B, C, D. What was it? Chinese something.
Chinese,
get ready to learn Chinese, buddy. So that was funny.
That one.
And then he says here, let's get real. Celtics can't carry 17 regular contracts. Time to break out the Exhibit 10. This is what he believes. Walsh and Banton get 12 and 13. Champagny non-guaranteed 14. He thinks 15 will go to Kissenlaw. I don't think that's going to happen. I understand. I wouldn't mind Kissenlaw on a Exhibit 10, which he thinks will go to Bean, Baldwin, and Valerio Bodon, which very possible. I would enjoy Kissenlaw on an Exhibit 10. I think he has shown enough where he's like effective on the court and he's a solid defender, but he does. I know Joey Spatulas, who's up in Maine, did tell us he's a little bit slow. I don't know, though. I think it's intriguing.
I think that this 15th roster spot is something that fans need to take a bit more seriously than that. I don't think it's crazy. I understand the sentiment, but you have to remember, like, Blake Griffin's not re-signed. Is Blake Griffin the get him over the hump guy? Probably not. Pretty sure he's cool to have on the team. Probably sold some t-shirts last year.
I don't think they're going to find a get them over the hump guy for the 15th spot. I just don't think that's what it's going to be used
That's
for.
What I'm saying.
There is that.
But I would still prefer Blake Griffin. Like that he was on the team last year. Good vibes guy. Funny. Again,
Blake or Isaiah Thomas? Blake or Isaiah Thomas?
That's tough.
Him in a pickle.
I think at this point you bring Blake just because he was here. Like continuity purposes. Isaiah would be a weird shake-up attention thing. Like he would be a massive storyline as he just sat there and watched games from the bench. And you've mentioned this plenty of time. He doesn't really want to go back in this NBA just to sit and watch. He wants to play. And he's not going to get that with the Celtics team. So Blake Griffin is more of a just coming to hang out guy. and that's
Which
fine.
is fine. That's fine with the 15 spot, but I just thought the comment was interesting. I appreciate you, RJ Johnson, for tuning in and chatting with us there. But
That's for sure.
We'll do this. We'll wrap up Summer League like this. Sam, if you had to pick one more guy for a two-way and or another guy you think could get a standard deal, who are your go-tos on this out of the Summer League group at the very least?
Out of the Summer League group, so J.D. Davison is on a two-way. Jordan Walsh is signed. Champagnie is signed. Jay Scrubb is on a two-way. So that leaves us with, if I could get to the damn box score, my God, just so I can have the list. I really felt that Justin Bean did earn at least a little bit of a shout, maybe for a two-way. As far as the last roster spot, I don't know if I see it with this team. I just don't. I think there's just a lot more candidates for a two-way contract. Like, as much as we just kind of clowned him, like Azubuike could be a guy you bring in to play up in Maine. Makes sense.
Sure, Maine is fine.
Kissenall is already up in Maine. It makes sense for J.D. Davison to continue to play in Maine. Obviously, him being on a two-way, they already have locked that in. Jay Scrubb, it'll be interesting to see what they get from him now that he is officially a member of the Celtics.
Yes, sir.
As we helped break this afternoon. After it was already broken, but we got the news to you guys.
We got it out, and you guys
from the back of the car.
2,000 views. So thank you already.
Did it?
But it's at 1,000. Yeah, it just hit, I think. I mean, I'll check for you right now. Yeah, it literally just now is at 1,021 views. Just correct.
Okay.
So we appreciate y'all for that. Now, if I had to choose, I would also probably go with Justin Bean for either a 15th standard or two-way at the very least. He just seems helpful. Obviously, Jordan Walsh is already under contract. I wouldn't mind, I think you could bring Kissenlaw and even like Grissel and Villarreal onto like training camp, right? Like you bring them to see what they can do there, at least have them train with the team, maybe bring them to Maine. Like I do think this group is good enough to have a couple guys stick in Maine. I think Justin Bean, out of all the guys who aren't signed yet, it would probably be up there. I think Olek would be if you could get him on a two-way, but that's just not an option.
Get him off the ground.
Yeah. I think Bojan is worth a closer look.
I agree.
Didn't get minutes, but I don't know.
I think Bojan is like almost like if in the NBA you could loan players out, like the Celtics should sign him as a prospect type player and loan him out to whatever club he wants to play for in Europe. Because every inch of film we've seen on his game has at least been fun to watch. He's looked like he's comfortable with the basketball. He's looked comfortable being the guy on a team that's playing against middle school type players. Could he fill a minor role on a competitive team? That is yet to be seen. He came off the bench today in Summer League and did solid. Didn't need to be shooting every single time in order to feel like he's in a rhythm. Shot 50% from the field. I believe 50% from three as well. So I would like to keep him around. He seems like he's a little bit too young at this point. But he was somebody I was super excied to see. And I'm glad he played well in this one opportunity. One shot, mom spaghetti.
Right? Which we didn't get to see.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to watch the highlights tomorrow. But those are our final Summer League thoughts. Celtics Summer League review, as I stumble over my words. But we can move forward here. Briefly mention, obviously, Jay Scrubb. We glossed over it a couple times. Jay Scrubb did sign a two-way contract with the Celtics.
Sure
he will be there for the upcoming season. We did a whole video on it, as we've mentioned multiple times. But I like the signing. I think he was worthy of a two-way. Obviously, he was arguably the best player, probably second behind Jordan Walsh, but he looked really good in Summer League for the Celtics. He was very good on defense. He was playing with solid energy. He was hustling. He started to develop the off the ball game as well, where he was either getting steals, running out in transition, cutting off the ball, catching it, and then running right past his defender, getting to the hoop. And he made his threes. He shot 50% from three, which is crazy for a guy who isn't necessarily a great three-point shooter. So if he can do some of those things, and if he can learn to screen well, I mean, there'll be a ton of opportunities for him. If not in the Celtics, you laugh, but look at Bruce Brown.
To set screens, buddy.
Well, look at Bruce Brown. Look at Javonte Green, Gary Payton. That is the role for a lot of these undersized guys. If you are athletic and you can score at the rim, set screens, and you'll earn minutes. Gary Payton, $8 million a year. Bruce Brown, $20 million a year. That is a genuine thing, and that is where I can see. I wrote a whole article 2 years ago about how that should be what Russell Westbrook does for the Lakers. I said he should play like Javonte Green. That was an entire article for Hoops Habit.
Stand there, and you're kind of right.
And I think it would have worked, but good for Jay Scrubb. I'm happy to see him on a two-way with the team. It's just, I think it's just a solid move.
Jay Scrubb has an awesome story. That's something you should maybe get in on there for Celtics blog, I think.
Might have to.
Yeah, I think he's got a good story. As far as we're concerned, we're proud. I think we can say we contributed to his growth throughout these 5 games where we kind of bullied him on the preview video and then said he had to adjust to find a roster spot, and he did just that. He looked great after the first game. He was doing all those things like you mentioned, off the ball stuff, cutting, getting to spots without having to try and create shots for himself, and just filling the lanes, filling the role, and being an impactful player in a small role, which is what you're going to have to do to play on the Celtics.
I mean, our video last night said Jay Scrubb earning Celtics contract. I think Brad Stevens watched it. I think we got a fan
Crystal ball
out there. Look at the brains out here on the How About Them Celtics show. But yeah, Jay Scrubb.
We're on the Jay Scrubb video, and we're just like, what is going on in the summer?
windy fingers. I love the windy fingers.
Yeah, like everybody's actually talking about Jaylen Brown, but we're like, Jay Scrubb. What is going on with Jay Scrubb?
Which Jay are you paying attention to in Boston right now? That's the question here. The third Jay is in place. I've seen that on Twitter.
Jaylen Brown hasn't been signed yet. Why would the Celtics do that? Jay Scrubb, two-way breaking.
Speaking of Jaylen Brown, he has not signed his contract yet, and it's not going to be anytime soon.
He's allergic to paper.
Adam Himmelsbach reporting that Jaylen Brown is going overseas, pausing negotiations for the moment. Everyone on Twitter freaking out.
Clarify.
I was going to say
overseas on vacation, not to play basketball.
Well, he's going overseas for a prior commitment, which is something people didn't pick out the article. It's unclear how long Brown will be gone, but there's expected to be a temporary pause in negotiations. The source stressed that Brown's departure is not related to any setback with the Celtics. He is simply honoring a scheduled commitment. People just decided, we're not going to read that part. Jaylen Brown. And, well, I do understand.
Well, you know why they're not reading it is because that's not the part that gets copy-pasted onto the NBA Central page or Legion Hoops. It's Jaylen Brown's going to leave the Celtics. Wham, here's the report, and here's the picture of Jaylen Brown looking distressed for your Twitter timeline.
That's true. I mean, I do understand the concern, like, okay, Jaylen, $300 million on the line. Yeah, let's go to Spain or London or wherever the hell he's going in Europe or overseas, and pause these giant negotiations where you'll make $66 million in the final year of your contract.
Crazy money. I saw Clutch Point say go up to $70 million.
Dude, people call me crazy or like for questioning.
I quite literally felt the microwaves go through my brain.
It's a lot. It's a lot of money. Obviously, I'll say it again. The Celtics should sign Jaylen Brown to an extension, but you cannot deny that is an obscene amount of money. It'll be the biggest contract in NBA history. Something I saw.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's real or not.
This will be a contract that I might be forced to hate.
It's bad
because
it's bad.
It's not even really a Celtics contract. It's just, hey, you have all this money and you can play in the NBA, and if you don't want to be on the Celtics anymore, that's cool, and everybody's cool with that.
But I don't read into the whole he's going overseas, he doesn't want to be in Boston thing. He's got plans. And the thing I do read into more is why has it taken this long in the first place? And we've heard the stuff about the negotiations, like player option on it. Does he want, this or this or this? No trade clause he's not even eligible for, so he can't get a no trade clause, even though that was a topic of conversation. But it does leave you a question, like, why is this taking so long? You see all these other guys extending, like, what's going on with Jaylen? Windy fingers are back. What do you make of it? Are you just like, whatever, it'll get done eventually? Or
I just think it's like both sides kind of angling where Jaylen wants his perks, whatever, clause, player option, whatever it may be, he's really, really pushing for. And the team isn't necessarily in a hurry to get this done just yet because him not being signed allows flexibility just in case their player X basketball
becomes
NBA
available.
Free agent crush becomes available. Yeah. Like if Jaylen inks the dotted line right now, they could not trade him for one season. So that is one season of not being able to dangle that contract to another team. With this, by not signing him, they still remain that flexible. They retain the flexibility. Right?
True. It's true.
I would like to see the deal get done. Kind of sick of waiting on it. Kind of sick of talking about it.
Agree.
So let's get things going. Maybe Brad Stevens goes and joins him in Europe.
That being said, I would rather talk about the Jaylen extension every single day for the rest of my life than talk about Damian Lillard anymore.
I disagree, because if you're still talking about the Lillard thing over Jaylen, that means Jaylen has been extended and Lillard has not been traded. So I would like it if he just never got traded.
I know.
Because he just deserves to stay there now. I've had enough.
This is Sam Stance. But speaking of the whole flexibility thing for Jaylen Brown, I have a fun little game we're going to play. Now, we're going to exit the realm of realism for a second, Sam. It is July 16th now. Summer League is over.
I wish it
effectively
wasn't.
for us. We have a long dead season ahead of us. And so we are going to play Would You Trade Jaylen Brown for this? Because why not? And if people don't like this conversation, don't listen to this conversation. Again, I think the Celtics should extend Jaylen Brown. I'll say that now, even though the metaphorical people who clip stuff, who are definitely not coming to How About Them Celtics to clip.
Yeah,
like,
no, they're not going to come over to our podcast.
You know what I'm saying, though? Like, everyone is going to listen to everything we say from here on out instead of this, where I say the Celtics shouldn't trade Jaylen Brown and they should just extend him. No one's going to listen to this part.
I'm going to put this on Houdini tomorrow.
Please do.
Because my two men's league games in the morning got canceled, so I have fuck all to do.
Well, there you go. Some big writer time.
Actually, kind of good.
We're gonna play the game. Would you trade Jaylen Brown for this? And we are going to start. I'm not going to go in order. We have a list here on our show sheet. I'm not going to go in order. Joel Embiid, would you trade him in a package for? We'll go top down. We'll go. I'm going to start with the people you probably say yes for. Joel Embiid. Okay, agree.
Would.
Agree.
I think Joel would be a great Celtic. I've said it for years, ever since we've known each other. That was always a take I think I've relayed across to you, is that I think Joel Embiid would be an excellent Celtic. I think him and Tatum are buddies. I think he would have a little bit of a fire underneath him. Don't love that he's not great in the playoffs traditionally, or struggles to stay healthy, but
true.
And the Embiid thing actually right now isn't as appetizing now that they have Porzingis. Not to imply in any way that Porzingis is a better player than Joel Embiid, but it is something that crowds the backcourt or front court
Definitely
a bit, where you don't need that anymore. 2 months ago was a little different, where we were like, oh, maybe. Yeah, right, Embiid. Lose Brown, whatever.
And for what it's worth, the last time, and again, you're totally right. If you have the chance for trade for Embiid, you do it regardless of who's on your team. Embiid didn't play well with Horford last time, and the last time that Porzingis was asked to be primarily perimeter guy, like he wasn't great. Like, he needs to at least be in the post sometimes, and with Embiid there, probably wouldn't get that chance. So there's that. But that was one. I don't have Bam on this list because of the Porzingis thing. We talked about this. Me, Cam Tabatabai, and Bobby Kravitsky talked about it on Bobby's radio show. And we brought up Bam as an idea. And this was pre-Porzingis trade, I believe.
Okay.
And it was, would you trade Jaylen for Bam straight up? And that was the question. I was like, maybe, probably yes, but like question mark, I don't know. Obviously with Porzingis and now you don't need that anymore. So I would no.
Would not.
But
final answer.
With Porzingis or regardless?
Porzingis, I'm not positive. I think
it's more of a question though.
It's not like a layup like Embiid is, where Embiid just won MVP. Like, how impactful is Bam? Not to say he's not a good player. Bam is a good player. He's great defensively. He can guard all 5 positions, the whole 9. But there were times throughout the playoffs where he didn't look great on offense. Obviously, he killed the Celtics because they couldn't defend the pick and roll. You don't need to remind me. But in that early series against Milwaukee, granted they were playing against Brook Lopez and bad back Giannis, but still Giannis. He really didn't look great. There were times against the Knicks he didn't look great, but against the Celtics, you bet your ass he showed up. Oh, yeah. That's just the way it goes.
A Raptors package. Now, we can call it Siakam and whatever. We can call it Siakam and Anunoby. We can call it Anunoby and whatever. Is there a Raptors package you would trade Jaylen Brown for? I'll put it that way.
Yeah, probably. I would.
What would it be?
Just because the appeal of bringing in Siakam and Anunoby, if
it would have to be both. Okay, yeah.
It's just like almost like you're multiplying. Like it's like the exponent above the number with Jaylen.
Even
you
with
have
Siakam,
to throw in somebody, obviously.
Would the asterisk have to be Siakam commits long term?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
I was going to say that has to be a thing too.
Yeah, giving up Jaylen, who you could have under contract for at least 4 seasons with a player option for a 5th, for a guy that could just leave you, who is the All-NBA player in the package, would be a bit of a risk, I would say. So, yeah, bringing in Siakam would be something. even though it's not necessarily a need right now with the Porzingis move,
Mhm.
the Porzingis move just puts a whole new perspective on how we look at these potential mock trades. I almost fell out of my
Definitely.
damn chair.
Definitely. Okay, Hawks package. Now you can make this whatever package you want. Is there a package the Hawks could send the Celtics that would entice you to trade Jaylen Brown?
I don't think so. What do you think?
Okay. I would also lean no. I don't think there's anything like the best they could probably do. The best they could do would be a Trae Young package. The best they would do would probably be like maybe they throw or can I don't even know if they can trade DeJounte Murray. Now that they extended him, I don't think they can. So I don't think they
might
can
not be
trade
able to.
DeJounte. So like the best they could do at that point would be like DeAndre Hunter, Onyeka Okongwu, AJ Griffin, and filler, and that's just the role players at that point, and they're good role players.
Sounds
they're
like
young role
what the
players,
Heat are
but
going to send for Dame.
This is true. This is true. Would you trade Jaylen Brown for the Dame package?
No. I'm so sick of. I'm sick of the guy. I've explained the contract being absolute garbage over and over again. Listen, not that Jaylen Brown for $70 million sounds fantastic right this second either, but at the end of the day, I'd probably rather give him the extra $7 million at age, 30, 31?
Probably
Instead of
30,
Dame at
31 at that
36?
point, yeah.
The Dame at 36 years is just going to be a head and hands year for whoever's opening the checkbook. That's what I think.
It's a lot of money. A lot of money. Now, would you trade Jaylen Brown for the Heat's package they are offering for Damian
No.
Lillard? You don't want Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and Jaime Jaquez, Sam? What? Why not? Why don't you want Sam's yawning?
Sure would not.
There's the indicator. All right.
Yawn.
I have Jalen Brunson here. I think it would have to be a little more. Would you be interested in a package of sorts like that? Now, before you immediately say no, Jalen Brunson under contract for next season for 26, the season after for 25, and the season after for 25. It's a declining
Brunson's
contract.
like a good asset, but I just don't know how well he's going to fit into the Celtics. Like, he's a score first guard. Really? Like, does that fit next to Tatum that well? Not really. You still have Derek
6
White.
assists.
What do you do with Derek White there? Yeah, but like 6 assists is like the average.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Shoots a bunch of shots.
I wouldn't do it either. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
This isn't me saying he sucks. I just don't think it makes sense.
I was more intrigued by, is he good enough where the contract situation makes it worth it? You know what I'm saying? Because he's on a much cheaper deal.
I see what you mean. I don't think so, but I think the contract situation is an interesting wrinkle to that.
Since we're on the topic of a contract wrinkle, I propose to you Mikal Bridges package.
Yeah, see, that's one I think maybe. Because he had a really impressive second half of the season once he joined the Nets. Mm-hmm. If you're giving Jaylen Brown for him, he's on a bargain deal for how many more years? And he's playing at a near all-star level, a little bit longer than Jaylen, probably better at defense, more consistent.
21.7 next year, 23.3 the year after, 24.9 the year after that.
Yeah, I would deal with that and then go from there. He's, a year older than Jaylen Brown right now?
He's 26. He's a year younger. No, same age.
Same age.
Same age, yes.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. You probably could, yank a little bit more from the Nets.
I disagree. I don't even think they would do it straight up. I don't think if you offered them Jaylen Brown from Mikal Bridges, they'd do it.
I just don't think they're willing to give him up. I just don't. I think
exactly. I know. I agree.
Happy with that, and they have a guy they can sell their fan base on a bit. Mm-hmm. So I could see why they'd be like, "Yeah, let's keep him." But if the Celtics could get him, I would probably do that. Makes sense. But that feels like a 2K trade too, where you're just swapping stars that are probably about the same level.
It is definitely. No, you're right. Paul George.
No. So yeah, that contract's bad. You want to talk about that
2 more
contract?
Years. Or 1 more year. 45 this year, player option though, so he's gonna want money. So probably no. Not realistic, but if it was in front of you, would you trade him straight up for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
Probably. Here's why.
Yeah.
Shai has had to be the best guy in that OKC team. He's had to deal with the attention of all these opposing defenses throwing their best stuff at him.
His contract,
all NBA season.
His contract, it's a max deal, so it's a lot of money, but in the scope of the new CBA, 33.4 this year, then 35.9, then 38, then 40 in 2026-27. Like $40 million by that point is going to be not the best contract.
We could get $40 million.
Yeah, so I would do Jaylen for Shai straight up. I just think he's a better player, right? I mean, he's only be a first team, of course, right? You know what I'm saying? So I would. But,
And he would have more freedom on the Celtics. He would have less
Mhm.
pressure playing next to Tatum and also Porzingis, where
Yep.
he wouldn't have that immense pressure coming at him as the team's best player. He just wouldn't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, he averaged 5.5 assists last game, and you're gonna say, "Oh, it's not that impressive." I'm not saying the Thunder team was bad, but imagine if he had the weapons of some of these better, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, phenomenal player. A Rockets package,
Probably not.
whatever it be, any Rockets package. Okay,
Fred
I
VanVleet,
agree.
yeah.
Imagine. No, it would be like a Jalen Green and an X player here and whatever. I wouldn't either. I just, I thought it had to be on here because of the whole Jaylen Brown wants to play for Ime Udoka stuff that likes to float around Twitter. I just thought it was something I should put on the sheet.
Okay.
If, again, these are not realistic packages. If the Magic said, we'll give you Paolo Banchero for Jaylen Brown straight up, would you do it?
That's a tough question.
Right?
I lean yes because you have him on a rookie deal for the next 3 seasons.
And then
So
even
that
the
really makes
extension
you
after
like
that,
OP in terms of championship window.
and then
And
even
you
the
have bird
extension after
rights
that
and
is like
free agency. Like
the-
you have all
yeah.
this stuff before he could leave.
And his extension after that is not even going to come close to Jalen's thing, just because this will be Jalen's second extension. That'll be his first. It's not going to be the same. Interesting question, right?
Yeah.
You got to consider it, I think, if you're the Celtics. Still 20 years old.
I agree.
Obviously, the Magic would never do it. But now the last one that I think is one of the more intriguing, Darius Garland. If you could trade Jaylen straight up for Darius Garland, would you? Obviously,
Probably because you
Yeah.
can play Garland at point. White can play the 2 guards instead of Brown. Then the rest of your lineup's the same.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Garland's under contract next year, year after, and then 3 more years after that, and it caps out at $44 million. So he's under contract for the next 5 seasons. I don't think the Cavs would do it. I don't think they're going to trade Garland, Mitchell, or Evan Mobley. But they'd have a wing, right? They don't really have a great wing right now. They brought in Max Strus and Niang, which is fine. I don't know. I thought that was one of the more intriguing ones because you could at least see the angle why each team would consider it. Although I think both teams would probably say no. I'll leave you with this one. Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah. Halliburton
I just love Halliburton, so I wanted to throw him out there. All right. I just thought that would be a fun game for us to play. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it'd be intriguing. It'll get us through the rumblings of July. But back to more Celtic stuff. Grant Williams spoke about the Celtics and his time there. We can keep this brief, but he told Jayson Tatum, this is via Adam Himmelsbach, "I'm gonna bust your ass when we play Dallas."
No, Tatum said that to
Tatum
him.
said that to Grant, and then Grant said, "You think you can't go left, and I'm gonna be physical, and you'll go cry to the rest."
You know what that does is also Spider-Man meme on that, but the Hardwood Houdini headline of, actually it could technically be both for me. Grant Williams sends warning to Jayson Tatum after Celtics trade, and there's your page views for the day.
Yeah,
that's a pretty banger article if you ask me. But these two are obviously close friends. You had Tatum kind of clown him on the Instagram where Dallas shared the photo where Grant looked like he had big muscles, and Tatum was like, he doesn't have big muscles. So good for them. I'm sure Tatum's a little sad that his buddy's leaving. Yeah,
Grant also saying it was very tough leaving the players. That was the hardest thing, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of great friends in the organization. And then he said, Adam Himmelsbach reporting this, near season's end, Blake Griffin pulled Williams aside and commended him for learning to be a pro when things didn't go away. And Grant acknowledged that he didn't handle himself the right way. Had a 2-week span of being unprofessional, which I look back on and was disappointed in myself with.
What do you think he did instead of being a good teammate? Do you think he was just sitting there and he brought his Nintendo Switch to the practice facility?
I feel like he was probably just pouting.
You're not playing this week, and he just sat there and played Mario Kart all mad.
I feel like he was just pouting, probably. He was upset he wasn't getting minutes, and he was just showing it on his face or something. Which, not saying you should do that if you're a player, but it was kind of whack that he wasn't getting minutes. To the point where Jayson and Jaylen literally went to Missoula and said, "Give him minutes." What are we doing? But yeah, just some talk. Grant Williams talking about his time with the Celtics. Gabe Vincent went on JJ Redick's podcast and had some words about the Celtics.
Big when they're up.
This is eyes emoji here. He didn't shit talk the Celtics. He actually said, obviously complimented the Jays, said they were good. and all that fun stuff. But he also said something intriguing that got picked up on Celtics Twitter by just about everybody. I think first off, Boston's a hell of a team, and it was a hell of a team these past 2 years. Tatum and Brown raised a lot of havoc for the defense. It almost seemed like to me, truthfully, they had something going on over there, despite our game plan. So much has to go right to win this league. And if you aren't fully right internally, it shows in different ways, kind of implying that like it felt like Boston had something going on behind the scenes. I'm not going to say
they didn't want to play Grant.
Well,
players wanted Grant to play. No, I'm not serious.
No, I know, but there were like also some like other weird things, right? Like Malcolm Brogdon is saying we didn't emphasize defense this year. We played too much offense. There was Jaylen Brown saying Grant's a good player when he does this, like kind of thinking like it just felt like
them
the vibes...
leading a huddle break with defense after Missoula was preaching offense.
Yeah, and then
Jaylen
like
did that.
Marcus and Grant explaining defensive plays after the huddle, like it just it felt like by the end of the season, by the end of the Heat series, I don't want to say something unraveled within the Celtics locker room. It just felt like the vibe was sort of off by the time the year ended, right? Like we had these great vibes early in the year, but like once the shots stopped falling, it felt like stuff kind of like it not necessarily broke apart at the seams, but like just started to deteriorate a little bit in the locker room, which is weird.
Yeah. Enter Porzingis. You know he's going to have those boys in the locker room lit AF, but more importantly, when the threes don't fall, throw it to him on the block. Let him work. You saw him cook the Celtics in that April game when Brogdon was like, we want the 1 seed, and then they got killed by Porzingis. And
he said no.
Just wash away.
No 1 seed for you. All right, is this the last Celtics thing? This is the last Celtics thing. The Celtics have shown an interest in Austin Rivers. Sam pointed this out to me.
Celtic Austin Rivers.
Yes, sir.
Sam pointed this out. Celtics for a quick week in the summer, and then they got rid of him after a trade.
Brief former Celtic. Gary Washburn in the Boston Globe reported this, saying another free agent looking for work is Austin Rivers, who the Celtics shown interest in. Also noted that he's looking for more than a mentorship role. I wouldn't mind Austin Rivers. I wouldn't play him over Peyton Pritchard. Is that crazy? I just wouldn't.
I don't know. Right? I couldn't tell you Austin Rivers' stat line. So
Austin Rivers played in Minnesota this past season. He averaged 5 points, 1.6 rebounds, 1.4 assists, 43.5% from the field, 35% from deep. He's fine. He's going to be 31 next year. Whatever. I would only take him as a deep bench player. He does. I don't know. It's fine. I guess it's interesting, but it's whatever. It's.
I think interesting is the right word. I think he could give them minutes off the bench if they wanted to go that route. He's obviously not going to be as good as Pritchard. They could play him over. Pritchard's in this weird spot where they still have a way they could just move off him and trade him and get some sort of asset back for him rather than just bringing Rivers to replace him.
Austin Rivers is, if we trade one of the guards, maybe we'll give you a call. I feel like that's what it is.
Okay.
At least for me. I just, otherwise, I don't really see how much it makes sense. Like, because then I think Austin Rivers probably gets minutes over Delano Banton, but you also have him there in your deep bench guard role already. Like, I don't know. And Jordan Walsh there too, who can guard guards. They're very high on him, I think, which is cool. But anyways, that was the last tidbit of Celtics news. We can move in to the NBA stuff. Let me change the really cool banner here for everybody listening or watching, I should say. But first thing, the Hornets and PJ Washington apparently far apart on a contract extension. This is one of those things where it's weird they haven't signed yet. It's sort of like Audasunmu, who hasn't signed his restricted thing either. But the interesting tidbit about this is Jake Fisher, friend of the podcast, reported after distant negotiations prior to Summer League, an early word among league personnel suggested Washington and Charlotte were far apart on a 4-year deal. Washington is not trying an offer from the Hornets that reaches Stewart's salary figure, Isaiah Stewart, who got 16 mil a season, which is a lot, I thought, for Isaiah Stewart. Now, if they're not approaching that for PJ Washington, I think that's pretty crazy. I think 16 mil a season is pretty fair for PJ Washington. I know he's not the best.
They want him on that Grant contract.
Right? I know he's not the best
qualifying offer.
Yeah, not the best defender in the world, but I mean, he averaged 16, 5, and 2.5 last year on 44-35 splits. Like, he's a fine player. And you mentioned the qualifying offer. If he comes back on the qualifying offer, that means Miles Bridges and PJ Washington will both be unrestricted free agents next year, which is just like
Could be a massive
Charlotte.
loss for them. Even though Miles Bridges at this point hasn't played, so he's
I know,
kind of found money just from a pure basketball perspective for Charlotte.
But like risking losing 2 forwards next season is like Hornets, guys. The PJ Washington thing's so weird to me though. Like, what are we doing? Like, why? Why are we messing around with this?
I don't know why they're playing hardball. They don't really have the leverage to play hardball. They're a small market, a franchise with no real success, haven't won a playoff series in who knows how long. Probably since like they beat up on the Celtics in the 90s when they had nobody playing for them as McHale and Parrish aged out. I'm not really sure when the last time they were a force in the playoffs was. Surely was not. Anytime I've seen.
Kemba.
So, I don't think Kemba ever won a playoff series, though.
I know.
Am I
let's
wrong?
check. No, I don't.
I don't think he did.
I think he did win a playoff series. Am I crazy?
So.
Why do I feel?
I don't think they did.
You're right. They did not. The last time they made it to the second round of the playoffs was 2002.
Okay.
Which is
Baron Davis led Hornets? No?
This
was that New Orleans?
It's weird. No, this was the Charlotte Hornets. There's like a 3-year gap in there where the Charlotte Hornets didn't exist, and then they came back as the Bobcats because like the Charlotte Hornets.
It was an expansion.
Yeah, it's weird. So this iteration of the Bobcats / Hornets has never made it to the second round of the playoffs.
Okay,
which is kind of nuts,
kind of sickening.
Yeah, it's very crazy, and they've never made it to the conference finals ever.
But in all seriousness, this is why you see them have to pay players like Hayward like a bunch of money to get them to go join the team to even have a chance to compete.
It was Baron Davis, Jamal Mashburn, and Jamal Magalore who made it to the second round.
Okay,
I thought that was an interesting team. No, yeah, just pay PJ Washington. Just give him money, please. Just like stop, cut the shit. Like what are we doing here? It doesn't make sense to me. All right, next thing we have Mavericks in on a trade for Bojan Bogdanovic. I almost said Bogdan.
The one on the Pistons.
The Pistons one. Now, the trade outline here, which was outlined by Tim Cato of The Athletic. Multiple league sources said the Mavs and the Pistons renewed trade conversations about Bogdanovic. This happened before the draft, I think, too. League sources say talks were sturdy enough to discuss a potential framework, which was Bogdanovic and Killian Hayes to Dallas, Tim Hardaway Jr. and JaVale McGee going out, but it's unclear what else would have been required from each party to expand it into a 4-team deal, et cetera, et cetera. I would hope there would be more in that for Detroit because I don't get it otherwise.
Can't tell me JaVale's not nasty.
Have you seen the reports about JaVale McGee? They said JaVale McGee is not a part of the Mavericks' future. He will either be traded or stretched and waived.
Oh, sorry, JaVale.
Bogdanovic in Dallas makes sense, so I get it.
Do you remember when JaVale did vlogs in the bubble?
Yeah, it was electric. Matisse Thybulle's one too.
Thybulle. Yeah.
I watched every one. There was nothing else to do.
Yeah, what else were you doing?
It was great. Yeah, I mean, sure. Right, like Bogdanovic in Dallas is fine. Dallas sneaky, really good offseason.
Dallas is aggressive, and they have to be. They have no choice. They have Luka, who, again, is under contract for a while, but it feels like there's going to be some pressure building. If they can't compete, they traded for Kyrie. If Kyrie doesn't work, so they have to put a good enough roster around these guys to have a competitive chance this season.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to start to feel like a lot of uncertainty start to happen there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure the Kyrie and Luka contracts line up pretty closely. I think Luka has 1 year extra on his thing. Yeah, I agree. And I think Luka has 1 more year on his deal, but I think it's a player option, so they could line up perfectly. Let me check on that. Yeah, I believe so. So,
okay,
we'll see. We'll see what happens for the Mavericks in the future for there. But
next thing we have Zach LaVine. Sam's tired. Can you tell? I'm very tired.
Zach LaVine doesn't see a trade out of Chicago happening. Talking to NBC Sports Chicago and Ryan Taylor, saying, "I always rep my city, whichever team I'm playing for, to the best. Chicago's loved me and called me their own. I don't see a trade happening anytime soon, but if it does, Chicago's always has my love." Basically saying he doesn't see himself getting traded, which makes sense. I don't think
any player really does until they're like, trade me or else.
True. This is true. I don't think they would be able to find a trade partner for LaVine. Am I right?
Well, now you're on the train. You get it. You're like, wow, this guy really isn't worth the $60 million with a new CBA putting a chokehold on the rest of the NBA, who's going to want to pay him that to not really compete? So it makes sense. It's tough.
Now,
Chicago's in a tough spot with the money they're spending.
I think LaVine could be like a fine second option or even a third option, but like not at that money. So that's the question mark. All right, next thing. Doc Rivers, unsure about his coaching future. We're rapid firing some of these bullet points because we got a lot of NBA news.
I'm looking at the second part of this and I'm cracking up. Go ahead.
I don't know what I'm going to do. Rivers told TMZ Sports, I'm just going to enjoy life. He also added that he's having a phenomenal summer.
He probably is, dude. He doesn't have to do anything. I think Doc's going to do TV. I know there was a lot of like speculation when ESPN just went through and gutted their whole NBA team with Van Gundy being out the door that they just want to pay Doc Rivers and not have to pay him like they have to pay Van Gundy. I forget who I heard say that. But that is definitely a theory from me. I'm in on that. I get it. And Doc used to do TV before he took the Celtics and Magic jobs. So he definitely makes sense to be a candidate there.
For sure. For sure. Interesting at the very least. Celtics legend Paul Pierce decided he was going to slander the Miami Heat. On Showtime, he was talking with Tracy McGrady, Rachel Nichols. Asked about if the Heat trade for Dame, he said they won't make it out of the first round, which is like Paul. I love Paul Pierce, right? I saw somebody on Twitter saying Paul is becoming the new Tommy Heinsohn. To say that the Heat
not
with Dame
really.
Well, in the sense of like the homerism, to say the Heat with Dame wouldn't make it out of the first round.
It is wild.
Come on.
My first thought when I saw this was not so much about him. I was just like, wow, like they really have too many podcasts out there. Like not even at like oh, you want to get into media, you shouldn't do another podcast. It's not about us or like people like us that want to get in. It's like, okay, not everybody has to have a podcast. Like not all ex-NBA players have to get on and have a podcast. Because when that happens, you get things like this where it's just like talking to try and be relevant where that's really not good content. Like,
are we slandering Paul Pierce here? Is this
I love Paul Pierce, but I just don't think this kind of stuff is what you need. Like, it's not.
You're
it's
not
just
wrong.
A weird, like, attention grab. Like, we don't do stuff like that.
No, except for when we say, would you trade Jaylen Brown for Paolo Banchero?
Well, yeah, but we whatever.
You know he's going in the thumbnail. You bet your ass he's going in the thumbnail.
Sure is, dude.
Next up.
This has just been a brutal pod for teams finding out they're not going to be able to trade these players that suck. Go on.
James Harden is determined to join the Clippers. Shock, I know. Sam Amick reporting that all this stuff about the Sixers wanting to keep James Harden is pretty one-sided, saying Harden is, quote, still determined to start next season in a Clippers jersey.
You know how you get to LA is you opt out and then go join the Clippers under your
take a small contract.
Yeah.
Amick said earlier in the report that executives he spoke with during Summer League were quote, were universally convinced that the Sixers are now attempting to keep Harden.
Good for the Sixers.
Duh. Now, if you are the Sixers, Sam, I'm going to beg you to take the spite out of your brain for just a second. Just 1 second. Just humor me, maybe. If you are the Sixers, would you rather trade James Harden for the best package you can get or keep him knowing he doesn't want to be there? Taking the spite out of it. I know what you would do for spite, but.
Well, you have to take the best package in that case then, like, unless you keep him, and that's a spiteful move. James Harden's back to being fat. Have you seen the pictures?
No.
So he was at another party, not the white party, that just like another party with the
I did
guy,
see this.
Michael Rubin.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's getting a little fat again on purpose.
Oh, man.
So he might be serious about this, Philly. Don't play around. He's just going to get fat on you. How great would it be if Morey just really, really called his bluff? So James Harden got so fat like he was in a scooter.
they apply for a DPE.
It would be a huge pissing contest of we're never going to trade you. And he's like, fine, I'm just going to keep shoving cookies in my face.
They apply for a disabled player exception for James Harden because he's too fat to play. Oh, man, imagine. Next thing we have, Julius Randle. The Knicks are no plans to Sam. They don't want to trade Julius Randle. Don't worry. The quote here. This is
why the Knicks aren't a competitive or serious franchise.
Ian Begley of SNY on Zach Lowe's podcast. I don't think there's a world right now where the Knicks would move Julius Randle. I mean, it would have to be for like a Joel Embiid type player that's going to change your franchise day one when he steps in the building. Sam, would you trade Julius Randle for Joel Embiid?
I would trade Julius Randle for probably over 50% of the league. Yeah. The Julius Randle thing's interesting because on one hand, it feels like if they were to trade him, they would be selling very low. But then on the other hand, if they were in the mood to trade him, it would feel like they're selling kind of high as he made all NBA, and that feels very fake when he just fumbles around on the court and gets lucky. I don't really know what they would get in return from him in a trade.
Not much.
So this kind of makes sense for them not to want to move on from him just because it's the devil they know. He's played on this team before.
It's the devil they know.
Yeah, over the one you don't. That's the way it goes.
No, I know. I get it.
It's a saying.
That's funny.
Do we have to talk about Dame again?
I just wanted to do Dame watch. We're not going to talk about it. I just need to get like the tidbits of information I saw on Twitter, and we can leave it there.
Go ahead.
I saw some BS about the Trailblazers, quote unquote, fucking up by not trading for or trading him before the draft. It was the whole thing like, well, now they're gonna have to settle for Jaime Jaquez instead of just like picking who they wanted with the 18th pick. Whatever. It was from a Heat reporter, obviously. Something about it being close to happening. I saw, which fuck off. Something about the Blazers wanting Nikola Jovic and Jaime Jaquez, but the Heat not wanting to send both of them, which is just like the most annoying thing. Like, guys, what are we doing?
I'm not sending you Jovic.
Oh my God. Very stupid, but that does conclude NBA. Had to do
get him on the screen.
Bring out Matt the Rat onto the screen. Would you like to start, Sam?
Yes. Rat list, my self-control today. I went to a family party and I ate a lot. I ate probably the most I've eaten in a very long time. This was like when you see Blake Griffin do a dunk and you're like, oh, wow, I forgot I could do that. This is me. Yeah. Like I felt like I was in my prime today. Mm-hmm. But after Blake Griffin dunks, he probably has to ice his knees forever. And I am the most full I may have ever been right now.
Do you remember the whole saga where it was like, I can't believe the Nets are going to get the piss. Blake Griffin is like,
I was pissed about this.
He can't dunk anymore. And then he dunked in Brooklyn. Everyone's like, oh, it's over. He dunked right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I just shoveled my like fucking third piece of cake down. And well, it wasn't cake. This is not the most impressive eating day I've had this year, but it certainly doesn't feel great.
I can imagine. I'm going to rat list Richard Jefferson. This is a joking rat list, and it's a moment that I didn't want to put in the NBA section, but I thought it was funny. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. Richard Jefferson was at Summer League, and the Grizzlies have a player on their team named Frankie Ferrari. His real name. He is a short white guy with just a mustache. He looks like a guy named Frankie Ferrari. And Richard Jefferson said during the broadcast, I want a Frankie Ferrari jersey. And so post game, I forget who it was. It might have been Katie Scott. Went over, goes, Frankie, do you know Richard Jefferson? Rat list her for this, actually. She goes, do you know Richard Jefferson? No, he said yes. And she goes, okay, I had to check. You're pretty young. Just like roasting the shit out of Richard Jefferson. And he goes, he wants a jersey swap. They walk over. Frankie takes off his jersey, gives it to Richard Jefferson, but instead of saying like, oh, I'll get you back or I'll get you a jersey, he just gives him his polo. And Frankie Ferrari walks back to the locker room with an ESPN polo. Like, Jeff, can we get him a jersey? What are we doing here?
I'll double down. Ratless Richard Jefferson. Richard Jefferson on the broadcast site exposed Mark Jones for trying to eat a hot dog on the broadcast. Bonus rat list Mark Jones for ordering a hot dog.
Tough.
Because if you're ordering a hot dog, I just don't know what to tell you because you could probably eat 10 of them and still not be satisfied, and you're paying up the ass for the food item. But yeah, they just like were zooming in on the hot dog right in front of Mark Jones as this game is just going on. And Richard Jefferson was calling him out, exposing his broadcast partner.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it here now. I got it.
Okay.
Frankie Ferrari just looks like Frankie Ferrari walks off and he goes, damn, I really do just look like a color guy.
Yeah, he really just looks like he works for ESPN as like the guy that holds the camera.
It was so funny though. It was It was very funny interacting to watch. I think Frankie Ferrari had like a sneaky good game too for the Grizzlies. He's been playing overseas, but Ratless, RJ, get the guy a jersey. Like, why are we? Also, not Ratless. We can anti-rat list it because it was against the Lakers. Kenny Lofton's getting interviewed. The Summer League Grizzlies playing the Lakers. They killed him, right? Katie Scott, I think it was again. And apologies if it wasn't. Interviewing Kenny Lofton goes, all right, we're here. Kenny Lofton, the score is a lot to a little. Just live on the broadcast, which was phenomenal. Frankie Ferrari had like a pretty big game, but his name's elite. I will rat list my mom. I told her I was going to put her on the rat list. And so I wanted to make good on my promise. Just doesn't. I was driving with her, right? We were gonna like put something in a dumpster, like just moving. Like my chair broke. Actually, we're taking my broken chair and getting it out of the driveway. She just doesn't use blinkers. Like she doesn't use her blinkers in her car. Okay. And like I know that's something I get mad at. Like if I'm driving and I see somebody else coming along, I'll get mad. Like we're going through an intersection that like needs it, and she's just not using it. And I turn, I'm like, Ma, and she goes, what? She goes, you don't need it there. I'm like, you always need your blinker. What do you mean you don't need it? If you're turning,
well, if you're like in the right lane or like a turn only lane, I do.
It wasn't like that. No, it wasn't no turn only lane. It was a 5-way intersection, and she was just like, nah, I don't need to use this here.
Creative.
Which is bad. Yeah. Any ratless for you want to get out of here?
No, I don't have anything else. I did have something, but I forgot what it was. I wrote down the important ones. We're good.
Family gatherings. Should we rat?
No.
We can't. Well, I mean, I'm talking for me too. It's just, I love my family, and I know you do. I know we obviously, I
long day.
I enjoyed my alone time, and it was also obscenely hot out today. Ratless the weather. Ratless the weather because it was
still hot out today. I got home like an hour ago, and it was still hot out.
It was gross hot out today, and then tomorrow I was supposed to go to the driving range, but it's going to be like a tornado and like storm. Like,
yeah, I got 2 games get canceled in the morning, which is like
fucked,
sucky, but also kind of cool because I can
just
sleep
terrible,
now.
Just terrible.
But in 6 hours, I can sleep till like noon if I want.
Anyways, we'll get on out of here. We're both exhausted. I have to go edit this. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Jack's not going to bed.
Luckily for me, I finished all my other work before this, so I can just go to bed after I
go.
But subscribe to How About Them Celtics.
How did you wake up today?
What time did I wake up today? Like, well, Henry came in and like Henry sometimes
just wrap the show. I'm tired.
Henry sometimes wakes me up, and he just came in. He goes, "Jack, it's 10:30." I'm like,
how the hell does he wake you up? He's sleeping.
Well, no, he gets up super early because he goes to sleep.
He's very well rested. Yes. Okay.
Exactly. But he comes in, he goes, it's 10:30. I'm like, Henry, I don't give a fuck. Like, fuck off. So I got out of bed at like 11. But thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. We're at 933 subscrirbers right now. Make sure to subscribe to How About Them Celtics.
We hit 900 yesterday. Literally yesterday.
Which is nuts. 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. You know that.
Do merch, tell us.
Yeah, let us know if you can do graphic design.
Use the SeatGeek code too, by the way. We like never say this anymore. SeatGeek, HBTC, $20 off your first purchase. Do something fun with your summer. All right.
Please do.
I'm wrapping it up. I'm tired.
Do it. Thank
you very much for watching. Make sure you follow the YouTube channel. Subscribe to us. Join 933 others. Hit the notification bell just in case we drop a little breaking news thing on you like we
RJ
did today. Don't want to miss any of those. You can follow us on the streaming platforms as well. Make sure you leave 5 stars. Nice comment there. Socials at How About Them C's. Facebook is just the name of the pod. Make sure you follow Jack on Twitter at JacksMonNBA. You can follow me at Samuel France NBA. That's it for us. Bye.
Tic-tac-toe.